Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have this 2019 Cadillac Escalade and we're going to do the side chrome delete installation for this vehicle. So this is how it looks before doing the installation on the side panels, and this is how it looks after the installation. So we used the gloss black material in order to match the colors that pillars come with and also to black out the entire panel. Link for the product will be provided below, but with that being said, let's get started with the installation video. So before we start with the installation, we need to make sure we prep each section of the panels that we're working on. So all we need is water and baby shampoo mixed together in a spray bottle. Once you have your solution, spray it onto a clean microfiber towel and start removing any contaminants that the panel may have. Make sure you go to each panel and remove the contaminants. And also, once you're done prepping the panel, make sure that everything's completely dry. That way the adhesive on the film is able to tack down to each panel. So once you finish prepping the panel, now we can start with the installation. We're going to start off by installing the piece that follows this curved design of the panel. So with this one, all we need to do is just place the film on the chrome. That way the film is tacked down to the chrome and it doesn't fall off while we align it to this edge first. So make sure you align it and you give yourself enough material to wrap around the curve and also enough to cover this section here. So you can always double check and see if everything's going to be covered. If you see that everything's good to go, then we can proceed with the rest of the installation. So once this is tacked down, all you need to do is just follow the rest of the panel until you reach to the top, and do the same for the bottom section. Follow the panel until you reach it to the edge here. So it should look like that. Once you place the film, grab your squeegee and just start tacking down the entire panel. So once you finish tacking down everything with your squeegee, grab your heat gun and apply heat throughout the entire panel. That way we help the film start molding to the design of the panel that is being worked on. And then once you finish applying heat, we're going to trim off the excess material on these two cutouts that are located underneath the mirror here. And there's another cutout on this section. So I'll show you guys what the cutouts look like once we finish applying heat. And with this one, make sure you apply a good amount of heat around the curve here. That way the film is able to tack down and it doesn't lift. So apply heat, let the film cool down, and then with your finger help it tack down. And then just follow through with the rest of the panel. So when you finish installing this one, you are going to notice there is a cutout that separates this piece with the piece that goes on the top. So with this one, you can remove the excess material by trimming it off right on the cutout. And there's going to be one exactly the same for the lower section of the panel. So if you need to trim it off, grab your blade, insert it right in between the gap, and make sure you trim whatever you don't need, and then remove the excess material. And now you can see the cutout here. You would just apply heat to help it tack down, and you would do the same process that we did here to the lower section to trim off the material. And then if you have excess material around this section or on the panel, you would just trim it off. Okay, so once you finish installing this piece, now we can move on with the other section, which is the top layer here. So same process, place the film on the panel, that way it holds it while we work with the rest of the film. So place it, and all we need to do is make sure we align this section of the film to the edge of the cutout here where we last left off. So align it there, and once you have it aligned, you can either overlap it just a little bit with this one or leave it exactly right on the cutout of the panel right here. And once you place it, just install the rest of the film, lift the film, and then just follow the design as you go, and make sure you're covering the entire chrome with the film. And if you need to lift it to readjust it, you can. And just make sure everything is being completely covered. Once you place the film, grab your squeegee and start tagging down the entire panel. Make sure to remove any air that's underneath the film. And then once we're done squeegeeing the panel, apply heat to help the adhesive activate faster and help the film mold to the design of the panel. And once you finish applying heat, just make sure everything's tacked down on the top section of the panel. And if you do happen to have excess material, you will go ahead and create an outline with your finger and then just trim off the excess material. Just like that, lift it and remove the pieces that we don't need. And that's pretty much it. And you would just go throughout the entire panel, and you would also remove the excess material on the edge right here, align it to the edge and trim off the material, remove it, and you should be good. So make sure to trim off everything, then apply heat once you're done, and then we can move on with the next piece. Okay, so now we're moving on to the lower piece. So with this one, same process. Place the film to the panel, and you want to start by aligning this edge to the lower cutout of the panel. So you could do it the same way as how we did it for the top. You could either overlap the film just a little bit, or you can meet it right on the edge. It's completely up to you. Just make sure, however you go about it, you make sure you cover the entire chrome panel. So I'm just going to overlap it just a bit. That way it does full coverage. Once you tack this down, then you would lift the film and finish it off and aligning it to the rest of the panel. So now just finish off with the rest of the film. Lift it carefully. And for this one, you can use the lower section as a guide in order to align the film to the chrome panel. Once you place the film, grab your squeegee, start tacking down the entire panel. Make sure to remove all the air that's underneath the film. Same steps as how we did for the top. First tack it down, and then once everything's tacked down, apply heat to help the film mold to the design of the panel that we're working on. And then once that's done, we can trim off the excess material if we have any on the top and on the edges. So once you finish applying heat, now we can move on with the trimming process. So with the top piece, create an outline of where the chrome and the gasket meet, and that's where we would trim out the excess material. So once you create that outline with your finger, grab your blade, find that outline that was created, and trim off the excess material until you reach to that end. And don't forget about trimming off the excess material here. So go right on the edge of the panel into your blade and trim it off. So it should look like that. And then just finish off with the rest here. And once we're done trimming off the excess material, we're going to apply a little bit of heat. That way we help the film on the edges stay tacked down, since we did trim off the excess material and it might have lifted the film. So now this is done, apply heat to finish it off. And the same steps that was done for the bottom and the top piece, you will repeat it for the bottom and the top piece for the rear door. So once you finish with the rear pieces, we can move on with this piece. So with this one, place it on one end. You can start from either the top or the bottom, doesn't really matter. Just as long as wherever you start, you align it. So let's say for example here, we align it. Make sure to cover this section and also this section of the panel. Once it's covered, you would then lift the film wherever you left off and just follow the design of the panel as you go. So make sure before you fully tack down everything to double check and see if everything is going to be covered. So once you see that everything is being covered, now you can finish it and place the film. If you need to realign the film, all you need to do is just lift it carefully and realign it to where you need to place it. So just place it and that's it. This one's pretty simple. Now all we have to do is grab our squeegee and tack down the entire film. Make sure to remove the bubbles in this middle section. And then once you're done tacking down this entire panel, you're going to apply heat around the curve here, on this curve here, and on the top two curves on the edge. That way the film is able to tack down to the panel and it doesn't lift over time. So grab your heat gun and apply heat on the curve. Once you apply a good amount of heat, use your finger to help it tack down. And also here, apply heat, let the film cool down, and then just bring it down with your finger. And this should cover everything, just like that. So just apply heat, tack it down, do it again here to make sure that everything stays tacked down. And you do the same for the top piece. And now you can apply heat around the edges here. That way it starts to tack down. And after we finish tacking it down, then we can trim off the excess material. Now with this one, you could tuck in the film underneath the panel if you have the space to do so. But if you don't, then we'll just trim off the excess material. So make sure you have enough space to tuck in first, and then you can decide after if you don't have space, then trim off the excess material. And then just trim off excess material that we don't need. There's a small gap here into your blade, and trim off. Follow the design as you go until you reach it to the top end here. And then don't forget to trim off the excess material on the edge. And then do the same for the top. And once you finish taking down this one, now we can move on with the door handles. So now for the door handle, all we need to make sure is we align the cutout to the sensor of the door handle here. Once you have it aligned around this area, make sure to help it tack down with your finger, and just follow with your finger, installing it like this until you reach to the end. So follow the body line with your finger until you reach it there, and do the same for this edge. Now grab your squeegee and start tacking down the film. Once you have squeegeed the film, grab your heat gun and start applying heat throughout the entire edge of the panel. That way we help it tack down since it's still lifting. Once you finish applying heat and everything's been tacked down, trim off the excess material. So we have excess material on the top. So just create an outline of where the chrome ends. That way we could remove this excess material we don't need. So for example here, outline has been created. Into your blade right in the middle and carefully trim off the material. And then lift the film and it should remove carefully. And just do the same step throughout the entire panel. And then once you're done trimming, you're going to trim off the excess material here as well. There's a cutout right in the edge of the door handle. Create it with your finger first, that way you know where it's located, into your blade, and carefully just go down at a straight line. Remove it there and on top. And now it should be able to move up and down like that. And then you could just apply heat on the edges, that way it seals, and then you're good. Alright, then the same steps that we're done for this door handle, you will repeat it for the rest of the door handles. And then once we're done installing it for all the door handles, you would post heat the entire panel. So once you finish with the entire installation for the side panel, you would go ahead and grab your heat gun and start applying heat throughout the entire panel. Make sure you go evenly applying heat everywhere. That way we help the adhesive on the film activate faster. And once you're done with this process, you'll be done with the installation. Thank you for choosing Bogar Tech Design. As a small business, your support means everything to us. If you loved your product, please drop a review. If you have questions or issues, don't forget to message us via email. Once again, thank you so much for the support from our family to yours. So that concludes the installation video for the side chrome delete installation for the 2019 Cadillac Escalade. We hope that this video helped you guys out with the installation. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way you're missing your upcoming installation videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.